everybody, this is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
Excellent. Today on the show, we are going to talk about one of the big summer blockbuster. I don't know why.
Big summer blockbuster.
It reminded me of Frozen. Yeah. This is yet another movie that has been long awaited by a lot of people. It was supposed to come out last year, like most movies that are coming out this year. But it was delayed because of obvious reasons. And it was released this June in theaters and on HBO Max. We are talking about the film adaptation of Lin-Manuel Miranda's In the Heights.
Yes.
Directed by John Chu of Crazy Rich Asians fame. People might remember that. That's a fairly recent movie of his. In the Heights stars quite a few up-and-comers, mainly. You've got Anthony Ramos, who people may know as or from Hamilton, the filmed version of Hamilton on Disney Plus. He is in that. And then, of course, this Corey Hawkins, Leslie Grace, Melissa Barrera, Gregory Diaz IV, Jimmy Smits. Some names people might recognize.
And Rosa?
Jimmy Smits.
I can't remember what the actress plays Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
From Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Good question. I forget her name as well. Stephanie Beatrice.
Stephanie Beatrice. I knew it was like S something, but I didn't feel confident.
So In the Heights is about Usnavi, a young man in Washington Heights in New York City who owns a little bodega store. And it is about he has a dream to return to the Dominican Republic, but he also is torn between his community in Washington Heights and the people he loves there. So, what did everyone think of In the Heights?
I thought it was.
Andrew?
Sorry,
Andrew's doing his thing.
Where he's going to pretend to not like it, and then he's going to love it, and we're just going to end
version.
I loved it.
Yeah, of course.
So
you did.
good.
Of course you did. Of course.
And that's all I got to say.
All he has to
Good
say. No,
Good talk.
no extra thoughts.
No notes from Andrew.
He needs to go. He's busy reviewing restaurants.
It is. Good.
Garrett, what about you?
Yeah, I also thought it was very good. I hadn't really, this is my first experience with it. I never got a chance to see the play, and I tend to not like to go in blind and listen to the songs without seeing it in some way, shape, or form. So I wasn't familiar with much of anything other than like the basic story. But I thought it was really well done. I thought it was a lot of fun. It introduces us to at least me, a different kind of culture, not just, of a different actual culture, but just a different city. I mean, the whole idea, at least for me, someone growing up in Oklahoma, the whole idea of like a neighborhood with that kind of closeness of a community was even foreign to me. And so it was just odd to see that level of community with just like your neighbor. So just a whole big variety of different things and experiences that I'm not used to, presented in a way that makes it looks like it's so much fun. And that is essentially what Lin was wanting to do. I mean, this is again, a love story to that community that he grew up in and his remembrance of it. So I thought it was a really well done and portrayed fun experience.
Yeah. So how do I put this? So I think that everything about it is really, really well done. Personally, I found that I couldn't really get into the story. I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with it. I just kept waiting for something about it in particular to like hook me, and nothing just really ever did. But I have to say that for me feels like it doesn't really matter, because everything else about it is so high quality. It's one of the best, I think, live action musicals that I've seen in a long time. Performances are all excellent. The The songs are all very very catchy. I think that I like the use of excuse me. I like the use of visual effects to amplify some of the stories. There's a particular part I think during the song "Breathe." I could be wrong, but there's a song towards the end point where you get sort of a dancing along a apartment building, and everything really I think does a good job of amplifying the music. But in general though, I feel like this movie celebrates a certain culture and a certain neighborhood, and it may succeed at that and have some failings there that are 100% for that community to respond to. So I think it's really good. I think it's really well done. I don't think they could have, in terms of execution, done much better. But yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I'm okay with that because I don't really feel like I'm really what the target was.
I loved it quite a lot. In the Heights, it was Hamilton before Hamilton was Hamilton. The play debuted on Broadway in 2008. It won 4 Tonys, including Best Musical. In the music, you can hear those hip hop influences that Lin will then go on to use more heavily in Hamilton. And some of the cast members are even the same. So it really is like the birth of that. But this was my first time to see the story. I've never been able to see In the Heights on stage. I've heard some of the songs, but not to a great extent. So I've been looking forward to this movie for a long time. It was on my list of most anticipated movies early last year. So I'm like 2 years waiting to watch this movie practically. And I thought it was exactly what was needed for me right now. And I hope for a lot of other people. I mean, this is a movie that is really uplifting and joyful and loving. And after such a long period of time for society to be dealing with sickness and death and isolation, it felt really good to watch a movie about community caring for each other above all else.
Totally.
It, we've gotten to see quite a few movies since the beginning of the year. Now that things have started to slowly reopen and movies are coming out, but like this was probably the first movie I've seen this year and maybe last year that like made me feel anything on a deep level in terms of joy. I've seen plenty of sad stuff. I'm kind of tired of sad stuff. So it was nice to watch a movie that just like I had tears of joy at the end of the movie. It's just such a happy, uplifting feeling. So I felt like after seeing a lot of darkness, not just in what we've been dealing with, but darkness in people, it was nice to see people worth believing in on screen. Mm-hmm. And it filled a little hole in my heart for the 2 hours and 23 minutes that I was in Washington Heights.
I agree. The thing is that like, yeah, this movie's been a long time coming. The truth is that like, I think this is the one movie that signals that everything is getting back to normal. And I think it came out at the right time. And the truth is that like, there's the only takeaway I have from this movie is that like, you can't not like the music. You can't not like the culture of what you're seeing. And the other thing is that it's exposing you to a whole different world that's really within the United States. So it's not very far away. It's a 3-hour plane ride. It's a two day car ride, But the thing is that what I'm saying here is that the world that's created here is completely fresh. The songs are amazing. The songs are absolutely amazing. The choreography is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The direction is top notch. The writing is top notch. The best thing about this is that this is the first adaptation that we'll ever see of it, that we've seen of this, that's not on Broadway. And because of that, I think it's a really special thing, because to see it in a theater is really special, especially right now. This needs to be seen in theaters. This really needs to be seen in theaters.
Tell that to everybody that didn't go see it in theaters.
Well, that's their problem.
Yeah, that includes me, unfortunately.
Well,
but
you get a pass.
Watching at home, it was I don't know. It might not have been the right way to go. It's possible that I would feel different if I had gone to a theater. I haven't really felt that with most movies this year, with maybe the exception of like Godzilla. But I think that just the aspect of the music, and feeling, the sound of the Dolby, or whatever kind of, I miss the what is the one? What's the style where they do the like the all around you thing,
Yeah.
I miss that. So but yeah, you're absolutely right. This movie feels like it has real life in it, and it's got its fair share of drama, of conflicts, but for the most part, it is more of a celebration of this community, and that I think that's worth having every now and again, and it obviously shines a light on a demographic that is underrepresented, like many minority groups in cinema.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to credit the director John Chu for with how this movie is presented. He makes Washington Heights and this community look like it's not in the middle of New York City. Like it looks like and feels like its own little thing. And there are even parts where you see outside of Washington Heights and it looks different. It looks like a modern day city, because the movie is set in modern times. People use iPhones and things like that. But there are parts of it that feel timeless. You've got Lin-Manuel's shaved ice cart feels like an old thing. Even the Mr. Softy truck looks really old. But then you've got Vanessa's fashion career, which feels very modern. And you've even got a subplot where Sunny and Nina, is that her name? Sunny and Nina are attending a protest to support Dreamers, and that is a very recent thing. So it's kind of
cool.
That
was post the play,
right? Obviously, that was after the play, and there's even a part. There's a song where they're listing influential women, and they add Sonia Sotomayor, the Supreme Court justice, who was not a Supreme Court justice at the time. The play.
No, I don't think when the play came out. I don't remember when she was put on the Supreme Court. Maybe 2010.
Yeah, it would have been after, because it would have been. So there's cool stuff added on like that.
Worthwhile updates, I think, the ones that they had. I've read some information from people who were fans of the Broadway production. I know that apparently some of the songs orders have been switched around, or at least may in some cases drastically switched around. And I really wish that we had more time to speak with someone who's seen it or who has experienced it in its Broadway form to really compare and contrast. I didn't find that it didn't feel jarring to me watching. So I hope that means it was fine in terms of all those changes they made, because it seemed like fairly natural to me, every beat.
And fans of the Broadway musical may have noticed that in the song 96,000, there is a line removed that references Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
You can interpret that
It's
as
hard
will.
to believe. It's hard to believe that they ever would have included Donald Trump in the first place.
Hey, it was a long time ago and people thought different. I don't know.
He was more of a
Just a rich guy back then.
He was, I mean, he's Mr. Monopoly back then, you know.
Right,
he was like a cartoon character.
He wasn't quite
like saying Scrooge McDuck.
He is today.
Yeah, he was like, I guess, the American dream, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he was a cartooned version of it.
I mean, that's kind of how he is mentioned in that original line. It's, you know, they're singing about what they would do with $96,000. And the line is basically referencing that I would be on the links with Donald Trump and he would be my caddy.
Yeah. And I think they changed it to Tiger Woods.
Yes, they did.
Which makes more sense to begin with, but whatever.
It does. It does make more sense.
I mean, it seems like the kind of thing that, like, on a Broadway production, like if Lin-Manuel Miranda, the writer and the director and the star, is involved, it seems like the kind of thing that they would have fun changing performance to performance. Like, hey, tonight I'm going to say Tiger Woods, or tonight I'm going to say Michael Jordan. I'm just going to say famous rich people, a different one every night, and the recorded version happens to be that, or the original. But obviously that's just me speculating. It seems like the kind of line you could have fun with. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't got much else to talk about with this. It's a pretty big show.
What did you guys think about some of the actors that a lot of people haven't seen before or haven't seen very much yet? I'll start by saying I personally think that I want to make sure I get the names right. Anthony Ramos, obviously.
Yeah.
Melissa Barrera and Gregory Diaz IV, who played Sonny, are movie stars ready to go. I thought they were captivating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think this movie could have used an element of star power.
Boo to that. No.
There's not like a, and it doesn't need to, and I don't think it needs to be in the main players, but I think in some of your supports, because I'll be honest.
Someone like Jimmy Smits, who's been around forever and everybody knows and is a star.
No disrespect. No disrespect to Jimmy Smits, all right? Long time famous actor, all right? Very, very well respected. Nobody's turning out just to see Jimmy Smits.
Hey, what about Mark Anthony?
Mark Anthony would have been amazing to have in the movie if you were saying,
Jimmy Smits over Mark Anthony any
early
day.
2000s, you know, like that's a big. So anyway, my thing is not necessarily for the main lead roles, but for some of those supporting cast members, some people that people go, oh, I've never seen them in a musical, or if they never had a chance to be, you know, do this kind of thing before. That'd be interesting to see. Maybe for characters like, hang on. Oh, the barber, the salon owner.
Yeah.
You know, Stephanie Beatrice is a very new, recognizable name, very popular from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Things like that. I got to be honest, even though I thought they all did very good, I kind of popped every time Lin-Manuel's running cameo continued, because I was like, "Hey, Lin-Manuel's back!" And
it's our friend.
It's like you're excited to see that guy, and I don't know. I feel bad saying it, but I think there's an element of it that's a little true for me. Is that when Mark Anthony showed up, my wife went, "Is that Mark Anthony?" And I was like,
"No,
very unlikely to be Mark Anthony, but he looks a lot like him." And then he kind of turned around a little bit more, and we were like, "That is Mark Anthony."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's cool." I mean, imagine. I don't guess she would. It would work. I don't know what her ethnicity is, but imagine Jennifer Lopez as the salon owner.
That would be. You want her to be Abuelita? That
would draw people in. They go, "Oh man, that's a really big part in this production," and it's going to be, you know, one of the one of the biggest representatives for the Latina or Latinx community of the last 30 years. So I'm not saying that it needed to be done, but I think that there's an argument you could have made. I appreciate that they went with smaller names or lesser known names.
The one thing I have to say is that this movie is not like the one I'm getting ready to compare it to. The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
It's not
ready for the Dark Knight comparisons.
But this movie is I would say the definition of an epic.
You always say things are an epic.
but like this is an epic. Like
I
this
don't
is an
think
epic.
Andrew.
Listen. I'm comparing this a little bit to like West Side Story. West Side Story was tragic, but this movie is uplifting. But the same things that they have in it is that they both take place in New York, and they both have actors that are relatively new. And writing on that, it's it's almost like walking a tight line. And the thing is that this movie in particular, like, walks that fine line very, very well. And everybody does their part. It's hard to pick like who did the best. I think the person, for me anyway, who was, I think the best one was the woman who played Abuela.
Yes.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. I won't spoil it, but it's good. Her scene was good. The scenes that she was in, she just kind of stole it a little bit, and that's what I liked about it. And
she actually originated the role on Broadway.
Cool.
Really? That's very cool. That's very cool.
Cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, one of the other originals was the truck driver. He's also Washington. In the Hamilton. He played Benny. Is that the right name? Benny?
Yeah, he played the Corey Hawkins role.
Yes. I felt like I recognized Corey Hawkins from something, but I can't figure out what.
You probably did, because I felt the same, and then I looked him up and I thought, okay, I've seen some of these things.
Oh yeah, he was in Kong Skull Island, straight out of Compton. Yeah,
he was great.
And how could I forget his role as Navy Op in Iron Man 3? So yeah, there you go. Like, yeah, I don't know.
There's also Stokely Carmichael in Black Klansman.
Haven't seen that one yet, but I'm looking for, but I it's on my list. It's on my watch list. Well, is there any other aspects we want to talk about?
Yeah, I think just because we haven't really talked about it, I think the choreography was really impressive, and looked good on screen. That's part of the whole spectacle of a musical, and it looked really good in a movie theater. Wink, wink, hint, hint. 96,000 in particular was like a show-stopping number. Just seeing them dance in the pool was really cool.
Yes, it was. It also gave me severe COVID anxiety.
Well,
I was like, oh gosh.
I mean,
all these people spitting in the pool.
On that note, I thought public pools were kind of gross before COVID, so my opinion's not really changed.
That's true.
They're still kind of gross, but the choreography's cool. It looks great. It's not one of those movies where it's like, these people can't dance. No, they're really good.
Yeah.
And the voice, their singing is great. We didn't have a Russell Crowe and Les Mis moment where it's like, you can't really sing.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if maybe this movie was recorded live to sound. Kind of like Les Mis.
It's the best movie musical since Cats, and no one can argue that.
That's true.
No, it's the best. I don't know, going back to where, but it is one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. Usually those adaptations can be hit or miss, I think.
Yeah. And it's great to just have occasionally get some live action movie musicals. You know, the most prominent musicals of the last, 40 years have been animated, has kind of owned that genre, but very nice to get another one. And, it'd be hard to imagine that this doesn't eventually lead Disney down the path of greenlight. If they have the distribution for this, greenlighting a Hamilton live action musical or film, I should say. And so I don't know. We'll see.
But I don't have anything else to add after that. So unless anyone else does, we can move on and talk about its opening weekend box office haul.
I will get right to that. I do want to mention, we I think are all aware of the criticism that's kind of dominated a lot of conversation about In the Heights. That's the representation for the Afro-Latino or Afro-Latina community. And I think none of us, as for I think mostly white guys or all white guys, have really any input or reasoning or with which to really speak to that. But I do want to recommend, and she has a website. It's got Rosa on Twitter. Search Latinx Lens and listen to her podcast, her interviews, and her. She has a few articles about this subject. So if you really want to hear from somebody in the community who has some authority, she's a very good follow. I haven't regretted it so far. So check her out.
That would be great, because you were right. We are not qualified.
No, this whole review was brought to you by some whites. Anyway, let's move on.
The whites are at it again.
Let's move on to the box office stats for the movie. Now, this has also been somewhat controversial.
Yeah.
In the Heights debuted to its opening weekend, 3-day total was $11.5 million, which comparatively in the pandemic, that's not bad at all. Like, we were talking just a few weeks ago about Spiral, brought in $8 million in its opening weekend. So I would hardly call it a big failure of any kind. Hang on, I need the weekend numbers. So in its opening week, brought in 11.5. It opened in the number 2 spot, just narrowly $500,000 behind the resurgent Quiet Place 2, which brought in $12 million in its third weekend. At number 3, you had The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Check out a review of that now. Brought in 10.3. And then Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, brought in $10 million in its opening weekend. At number 5, bringing in 6.7, Disney's Cruella. This is a pretty significant weekend as we make our way out of the pandemic and into a little bit more normalcy, in which you had 4 movies make at least $10 million. That's not happened the entire run of the pandemic. Double digits for more than 2 movies has not been seen. I think audiences had some real diversity at the box office. You have a PG-13, thriller horror. You have a PG-13, Broadway musical on film. You have a PG kids movie, and then you have a rated R horror film. So and then you have a PG-13, whatever Cruella would be, Disney movie. So there's a lot of options, and I think a lot of people took, they took advantage of it. Some people want to come up with a lot of different reasons for why In the Heights wasn't number 1, why it didn't hit the expectations that it had of between 18 and 20 million. It's probably a combination of things, but I think, like most musicals, there'll probably be some legs to it. This is a better opening than The Greatest Showman, which went on to make, let me see, I had that number pulled up. Greatest Showman went on to make about $150 million during its entire run.
Big sleeper hit.
This is a higher opening than the highest grossing live action musical, Chicago, which in its wide release only brought in $9 million. So again, but that was in 2002. So the numbers are a little different, but you get my point. This is not necessarily the end of the road for In the Heights, and being the kind of movie it is, I kind of expect we'll see it continue to do fairly well.
I disagree real quick, just because I was going to talk about this. I just knew it was going to tie in with this. I think that most people are not going to go see it in theaters in general. I think that while people are going back to movie theaters, I think the fact that you can watch this at home and it has a 2.5-hour runtime is going to deter a lot of people to go sit in a movie theater for it.
It's very, and it's very possible. There are
I think that people are going to want to listen to it at home, watch it in bits and pieces, and be more inclined to do that.
Again.
Yeah, or something like that, than go sit in a movie theater for 2.5 hours.
It's entirely possible. Like I said, I think that it could be very easily a combination of factors. I think, the fact that you have a lot of other exciting movies at the theater. It is available for free right now on HBO Max. The fact that we talked about, maybe star power was a factor for some people. Maybe the play, the name recognition of the play isn't as high as, say, Hamilton. So it could be possible that even with all the marketing they did, there was a lot of people still going, I really don't know what that's about. So, I think there's probably, at the end of the day, it's probably a combination of a lot of different things. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But traditionally, musicals have had pretty good, what they call a leggy run, where they just continue to make like between 5 and 10 million every week. Like they don't really dip hard down and they don't open huge. Like I think I tried to look it up. I think the biggest openings for musicals are always animated. Yeah. That's just how it is. So for the year 2021, I'll just run through this really quick. Your top 5, I won't really talk about the numbers too much, but it's A Quiet Place 2 has surged into the number 1 spot for the United States at 114 million as of June 17th. Godzilla vs. Kong at number 2, Cruella at number 3, Raya and the Last Dragon at 4, and Tom and Jerry at number 5. That's it for the box office stats this week. And I believe Andrew is running the game this week for Letterboxd.
You could forget.
He had a big win. First big win since Nomadland.
Yeah, I don't know when that was, but I can't remember. So
I think you were. Well, yeah, you guys recorded Nomadland in like February.
Yeah. So been a minute and a half. All right.
Boy, you gotta be glad over there.
All right. So, what is everybody's score?
I'm gonna guess it has a 3.8.
Okay, David, you have a 3.8?
Yes.
I was going to go 3.5.
Too low.
Garrett, you have 3.5?
Yeah. I've been on the low side lately.
Brash powder, too brash.
Well, then I'm going to go with 4.0.
4.0, straight 4.0. So,
yep.
All right. So, this week, let's have a look. There are 276 fans who rated it. One of you is exactly right. And that person is Mr. David.
Ooh. David.
Right on the money with that 3.8.
It does have a 3.8.
That's me. Oh, I gotta put down that I won.
One of our let's see. One of the reviews was apologies to all the blockbusters coming out this year, but nothing is going to be more exciting than like 100 people dancing together in the street in the opening number of In the Heights. And I agree.
Accurate.
I would argue this is a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Blockbuster. I don't know why I brought that up.
Well, one person, Gabriella B29, who gave it 4 stars, said, "No one warned me about the Lin-Manuel jump scares."
Good one.
So,
good one.
But yeah, 3.8.
All right. Another notch on the wall for David.
Yes, it ties it up at the top. It's me, Josh, Garrett, tied at 5. Andrew behind at 3rd with 3.
Wow.
Andrew all alone in 2nd place. That's,
cool.
That's how you spin it for yourself.
Damn right. All right.
What are we rated here?
Well, let's rate ourselves. I will start. It's an easy 5 stars for me.
Oh, no.
Easy 5 stars for me as well. There's
no again.
There's no shortening that.
I am going to go with the 4. I'm not going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 4.8.
Oh, no. So I will see myself out as I'm giving it a 3.5. It was very good, but didn't do much for me. Everybody, good night.
Well, that makes our average score a 4.5, which is pretty good.
Significantly higher.
Higher than Letterboxd so far. But yeah. Pretty close with the Rotten Tomatoes folks.
I think 4.5 is pretty good. It's very highly rated right now by critics. So
and audiences.
Good word of mouth and audiences. So good word of mouth. Hopefully this movie sticks around for a little bit. And if not, I think, Josh, we talked about this privately. This movie is, I think, so much more important culturally than it is monetarily. So even if it doesn't make a ton of money, I think it will hold a very special place for a lot of people.
It's important for a lot of reasons. It holds a special place for me. And if you missed this movie, then like you messed up. I'm sorry. Like, that's on you.
Yep.
That's on you. Even if you're like David and can only give it a 3.5.
Oh,
Hey, like I said, really good movie, execution great. Just didn't do anything for me personally, but that's okay.
You just couldn't connect through the television. That's all it is.
Possible, but also
Blame the TV.
I don't know. I can't really come up with real criticisms other than I just found myself going, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll be back here soon with another movie to talk about. Let us know what you thought of In the Heights on one of our various social media pages. We're on all of them: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can find all our links at somanysequels.com, including where you can subscribe to the show, podcast, or video. So go check that out. We'll be back soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.